Hey guys, it's Abrar, and today I'm going to show you how to make a password protected account in C. So you will use this in programs like management systems. Suppose if you make a program for a library management system or a system that manages student information or um, a hospital management system. Basically it's used for systems like those. So what I've done here is, first of all, I have created a structure. So this structure contains the username and the password. So it's to use for storing the username and the password of the username. So I have limited the username to 20 characters, sorry, 20 alphabets, and the password to 10. Just just for testing it out. You can you can limit it to whatever value you want. Now, if you pay attention, you can see that I have already already at the start of the program I have declared u as a variable of the structure. So it's actually not inside any function. It's outside of all the other functions. So what I basically did is declared a variable, a structure variable globally, so I can use wherever I want. So inside the main function, there's not much coding here. So that's I think that's how a main function should be, because I have used the main function just to operate when any other functions will come into work. It basically operates how and when other functions will work. So I have declared option and option one, which are basically to store the return values of other functions. Now here, after that, I have used something called system CLS. So is just used to refresh the screen every time I go into the program goes into doing something different from the previous one. So CLS basically means clear screen. So to use this, you have to include stdlib.h, which basically means standard library. So this is just used to um, used to for a better user experience. Just keeps the screen clear, not just stacked up with all lines, multiple lines. So just use to keep the screen clear and fresh. And then here I call a function called print menu and assign that to option. Now if I go to print menu, it is basically used to show give the user options to do different functions. Now now what I did is gave the user option to log in to an existing account which he or she has already created before, or to create a new account and just close the application. Now I have declared a value n, and what it does is just asks for a value and takes that integer and returns that. Now suppose I entered 2, and what it will do is take that 2, mean the value of n, and now when it returns that, option will be equals to 2. Now in the next line, that option 1 is assigned to another function which is called user. Now if I go to the user function, that this function actually does the most of the work. So if I enter 2, I have I have used a switch user switch which just controls what will happen based on the user input. So if I enter 1, it does the login, the, the work for login. If I enter 2, which if I want to sign up, it does all this. Now I want to explain first the sign up, the code for sign up. Sorry. So first of all, for signing up, the user I will ask the user for a username, and that username will be assigned to u.uname. So that's when the variable u comes into work, because I have declared that globally, and now I can use that wherever I want. So I assign that I assign the user input to u.uname, and then ask for a password and get that password to u.pass. Now after the password and username is taken, what I do is open a file with a file pointer. So here I am declaring a file pointer, and here I open a file named user.txt. Now what I should have written w here, because it's just writing into the file. I have used a, and why I have done that is because there may be any other person who will create a new account. So uh, so append actually means adding to any previous information. So if someone creates a new account, it will just add to whatever there was before. So when I create a new account, it opens a file and appends, which means adds what was there before, adds to what was there before, the username and password. So when I open file pointer, the cursor is at the beginning of the file, and then it prints the username first and separates them with two tabs and the password, and then it closes the file, and just it gives the user a message that a new account is created. And here what I have used is just uh, get chair or care, whatever you want to say it, with no values inside the bracket. Usually give a variable. So what it actually does, when you hit enter, it just goes to the next line. So it tells the user to hit enter to continue, and so if the user hits enter, it just goes to the next line, and it returns 0. Now if I go to login, before I go there, I just want to show you. Now before I move on to explaining this login part of the code, I want to show you how the sign up part actually works in the view of the user. So first I want to show you that this is the folder I have saved my code.c file. So For now there is no text file. So when let's run the code now, and let's choose option 2. I want to create a new account, and let's give the username Chris and type a very basic password, QWERTY123. Mix it up with alphabets and numbers, and it gives me a new account is created and waits for me to press enter. And when I press enter, let's close the file for now and check. If I check here, a user file is created, and when I enter Chris and QWERTY123 with a double tap, they are separated and it's created as I typed in there. So let's just add another account. Suppose name Sophia and code 33. Press enter, close application, and it will just append, or if I say add to the any previous information, it just adds to the previous account details. So Sophia and code 33. So that's how the sign up part works. Now how does this how do I log in? So to log in, what we would like for the program to do is, when I type in Chris, I also want the user to type in QWERTY123. So I want both of them to be correct. That is only when the program will allow the user to log in. So let's see if I did that here. So first what I did is I gave a user a message of how many attempts are left. So for this program I just made 3 attempts, and I used A as the attempt and initialized with 3. So as this do while loop repeats, the value of A decreases only if the for the username and password are not, it doesn't match. So first of all, what I did is I gave how many attempts are left, but I did something little different here. What I did is I used a shorthand if statement. Now if you don't know what a shorthand if statement is, let me just show you, just give you a glimpse of it. For that, let me open a file. So a shorthand if statement is, you have used one here and another one here. So a shorthand if statement is just, it acts like an if statement, but it just sort of a shortcut to an if statement. So it should be written in this format. First a bracket, and in that bracket there will be a condition, and then a question mark, and then another bracket, and in this bracket will be the a set of program which will run if this condition is true, and after this colon, inside this bracket will be the conditions if this condition is not met or the condition is false. So I have used %s here. So for I mean that there will be a string or words or letters or sentences. So when a is less than 3, by which I mean when only if the user doesn't fails to type in the correct password at least once, That means, first of all, let's say there are 3 attempts left, and in the first try the to user fails to input the correct username and password. So what it does is it continues, and what continue means is it goes out of this loop and decreases a by 1. So that is only when this will work, because it says if a is less than 3, and if the a is less than 3 it will say invalid username and password, and if not it will just be a blank, so there will be nothing here. And it and percentage d is just an a, so there is no condition, so it will always show. So if there are 3 attempts left at first, it will say 3 attempts left, but not this, it will keep a blank here. And then after attempt I also used a percentage s here. So what is that for? So that is actually used, I actually use that to differentiate between plural and singular. So if there are more than one attempts left, it will add an s here. Okay, so, and if only one attempt is left, it will blank out, which means one attempt left. It's just for the sake of the user experience, just keeps it, just make it look good. These are short things, and you can use these shorthand if statement anywhere else. But keep in mind one thing, that th there are only two possible outcomes. If there are only two possible outcomes, you can only use this shorthand if statement, because if you use an if statement, a normal if statement, you can add multiple outcomes like using else if. So you can do that here. So there are limits. So use that only when there are two possible outcomes. For like here, one outcome is this and another is this. So it's a cool way to just make your program look good. Now if we go to the next line, it prints, it asks for the username, and it takes the username to u.name, and then it asks for the password, takes the password to u.pass, and opens the user.txt file which we already created before to, and this time it reads it, because this time we don't want to add anything, what we want to do is read or scan. So we scan the username first, and I have made, if you can see here, I have made a declaration of S and P. So I am assigning the username to S and the password to P, and then using strcmp, which is used to compare two strings, I check if they are equal. So if strcmp is equal 0, that means they are equal. So what I want to do is check if the username inside the txt file matches with the username I input, the user input, or and at the same time the password also match. So if both matches, what it does is it closes the file. First of all, that is the must thing to do. You should close the file if you are done with everything inside the file, and then return 1. So returning, I have just worked with returning here a little bit. So when I return 1, the value of option 1 is now 0. Sorry, 1. The value of option 1 is now 1. So in this meets this condition. So if option 1 equals 1, it goes to menu. So menu is, I just made just to make you understand. Menu is just, suppose if you make an employee management system, we will do something like adding employee information. Or let's run this program again, and this time we will check if the login part is working correctly. So I have to press 1 to log in, and I have made 2 accounts before, and one is Chris and one is Sophia. So first what we want to check is when I input a wrong information, like for Chris, if I say 123 QA, so it says invalid username and password and decreases 3 to 2 attempts, and let's input wrong a wrong username this time. I am keeping the password correct, and still it says invalid username and password. Let's give the correct one. Sophia code 33 logged in as Sophia. So it runs correctly, but what if I input wrong information 3 times? So, Sophia. So it is actually case sensitive. You have to remember that, because I am using strcmp. So a capital S and a small s have different ASCII values. So strcmp actually compares ASCII values of alphabets. So you have to keep in your mind code 33, and I have 1 attempt left. What it does is says no more attempts left, and forces out of the program. That's how it works, because um, when there are no more attempts left, when I return -1, it forces me out. It returns 0 to the main function. So this is how this program works. That's all I have to explain to you. So this password protected code, password protected program is actually useful for any type of programs, any type of software you want to make with C. You can take a look at this and in in any application you are making in C, or take any ideas and add to that new things that will actually make it better. So I recommend you to use a password protected account when you are making any type of management systems, software management system applications with C or any other programming languages. So it's just a good way, and it makes someone like your teachers or lecturers happy. So that is all, and if you don't understand, just um, watch the video again and again. That is all I have to show for now. Happy coding.